Look at all this open space. I love it so much. Welcome to open world video games. Now, open world video games were something that I loved playing growing up. Like the first one I ever played was Grand Theft Auto 3. Like I remember a classmate of mine telling me about how you can walk around on the streets, steal cars, beat people up, collect their money, all in this open space where you were free to roam. Now, growing up on the south side of Chicago, the mean streets of the south side of Chicago, I used to see those actions in real life. Like imagine having the ability now to play out those things in a video game where you can do all those illegal things and activities and not go to real life prison. Now that was a video game concept that wasn't as prevalent back then in 2001. Now it's been 22 years since GTA 3, and along with 2 mainline GTA games, several GTA spin-offs, and countless other open world video games by other developers, the open world aspect of video games has grown to a point that it's not as attractive of a feature as it once was. Now let me explain. Now, some open world games are mission-based with checkpoints on a map. That's a map. Now some open world video games are mission-based with checkpoints on a map for you to travel to in order to activate a mission or a task. And with how massive these open world games have gotten over the decades, some game devs realize how exhaustive it can be to backtrack all the time. So they created the fast travel option. Yeah, it's the only way to travel these days, baby. And that was a real godsend when that was implemented in video games. Like it was like getting one of those like fast passes at Disneyland and being able to skip the line, because that's the most boring part of every theme park is waiting in line. Just backtracking all the time is probably the most boring part of any open world video game. I think we all can agree with that, right? Yes. Now, the open world video games that really seem to click with me are the more narrative-based games like Horizon Forbidden West, Far Cry 6, and Red Dead Redemption 2. Oh, also, even though it was much flawed, Cyberpunk 2077. I'm not afraid to admit that. I don't care how many glitched out people we see. I loved it. But then there are open world video games like Breath of the Wild, Kenshi, Sons of the Forest, and even 2022's Game of the Year, Elden Ring, that are kind of light on the whole narrative side of things, where you kind of have to hunt it down to seek out the story. Like to this day, I still don't know what we're looking for in Elden Ring. Is it a ring? I don't know. And that's where I find a problem with open world video games. I love them, but the way games like Elden Ring are built, you can find yourself getting lost for hours without a clue as to where you actually need to go next in order to trigger the next main story plot. I remember spending like 6 hours gliding around Hyrule, wanting to figure out where I can find and save Zelda in Breath of the Wild. That's an insane amount of time! And then when I figured out where I needed to go, I stupidly went there immediately because the game gives you that as an option. But I was severely underpowered and died instantly. I was gone in a poof. I know some people watching this are probably just making fun of me right now, and that's fine. It's fine, man. I was picked on in high school. I was stuffed in numerous lockers, so you making fun of me is not gonna hurt me. Now, I know there's a certain allure, though, to games like Breath of the Wild, Elden Ring, Kenshi, that some gamers gravitate to. It's a challenge. Challenges are fun. Some folks really love those open world games that don't hold your hand. Hold my hand, please. That don't hold your hand as far as telling you where to go next, allowing you the freedom to fully explore the massive world they created for you without creating barriers to stop you before you reach a certain point in the storyline or level up to a particular skill level. Now, those can be looked at as restrictive to some players, but for a gamer such as myself who just enjoys a really good story in game form, not having those clear objectives laid out in an overwhelmingly large space can in and of itself seem very restrictive, like I'm behind bars. That's like going to the Mall of America and you're looking for like a baby Gap, but you don't know what floor it's on. So you look all over the place for one of those like legends or mall directories to show you where you are in relation to the baby Gap, but you can't find it. So you end up wandering the mall for about an hour and 30 minutes until you just give up and go home without the baby booties you were trying to buy for your little nephew. It's really gonna be a very, very cold couple of months now that he learned how to walk. Without them booties, he's gonna have some cold ass footies. His feet are gonna be very cold. This is not a true story. It is. Sorry, Kimbo. Now, these open world games have become what are known as sandbox titles, where you're plopped into a world where you have to figure out where you need to go. And if you want, you can just mess around and do whatever the hell you want. You know, kind of like when you find yourself as a kid in an actual sandbox. You can build whatever the hell you want in those things. Just watch out for the sandworms. Y'all remember the sandworms? You've seen the movie Dune. It's like the Dune sandworms. Are there worms in the Dune movie? I've never seen it. Now, I enjoyed it in Mercenaries, Playground of Destruction, which was advertised as a literal playground where you were dropped in a sandbox open world, which allowed you to just go around taking jobs as a mercenary and blowing stuff up. And that was so much fun. Now, you could actually destroy large buildings, which was something I never seen in a video game before. Now, I did so much outside of the actual storyline in Mercenaries. I never completed the game. Don't judge me. You are not my judge. You are not that Phoenix guy that points all the time. Your Honor, he's not! Now, I don't know if that's a good thing, though, that I never completed that game. These open world games, though, give players so much space to do whatever the hell you want. You can get lost in the game and never complete the actual game at hand. Like gamers, consumers in general. Like it's a known fact, we all have short attention spans. I know I do. Like for this video that you're watching right now, if you've gotten this far, that's because we've tried so hard, me and my editor, to make this compelling and fast moving. So you wouldn't get lost and you can continue to watch this. You're watching because it's moving very fast. Look, I'm over here. Now I'm over here now. See, I got your attention, yeah. Here we go. Now, while most linear games might seem to the untrained eye to be limiting based on their predetermined paths, those games give you a clear route in which to experience what the game has to offer. Like with games like God of War, Ragnarok, you have this open world with clearly defined side missions you can take to further explore the world. But the game tends to guide you to where you need to go in order to complete the main story. Now, same goes for Horizon Forbidden West. Like, you can get lost in the sauce in that world with Aloy, but the game does such a good job of focusing in on the main story so you can complete the main objective. And yes, I said focusing in, knowing that they use something called a focus in the game. So that's a bit of a pun. I made a pun, it's funny, not really. The argument can be made that games that are seemingly on the rails are even more restrictive, like Killer 7. Like that game made sure you couldn't deviate and explore. Like you couldn't even if you wanted to, because it was literally on rails. Like it was a path that was set out for you to travel. But yes, I get that a lot of folks might not agree with me on this particular point about open worlds. And I don't want y'all to get anything that I'm saying twisted, okay? I love open world games. It's just that some can feel restrictive based on their difficulty and lack of dialogue or narration to direct the player to where they need to go next. Do I need to go over here? Or do I need to veer this way? I don't know with some of these games. But you know what? That's what's charming about games like Kenshi, Elden Ring, and Breath of the Wild to some people. And don't get me wrong, everybody. I love Kenshi. The amount of hours I sunk into that game, like I don't even know if it's if it's even possible to beat that game. I spent like 16 hours, I still haven't beaten Kenshi. Has anyone ever beat Kenshi? Can you even beat it?
If you every person in every town on the map, I consider that a one game.
I got beaten a lot in that game. A lot. Like it was like Mike Tyson just punching me in the face and it hurt. Anyway, somebody please let me know in the comments if you can beat that game. But yeah, share your thoughts on open world games with me. I really want to leave this video kind of just like open-ended so we can talk about it collectively. Ha, open-ended. See what I did there? That's called clever. It's a video about open world games. Anyways, thank you all for watching if you got this far. Shout out to the members here on the channel. And until the next one, well, I'll see you here and I'll see you there. Peace.